The Drachnid warship emerged from hyperspace like a predatory beast, its obsidian hull reflecting distant starlight. On the bridge of the Earth diplomatic vessel Promise, James Porter watched the alien ship approach with carefully measured calm. After 15 years in the diplomatic corps, he'd learned to hide his emotions well. But even he felt a flutter of anxiety at the sight of the notorious warrior race. The Drades had spent the last decade systematically conquering or subjugating every civilization they encountered. Earth had managed to avoid direct conflict so far, but their expansion was getting too close to ignore. This meeting was humanity's attempt at preventing war through diplomacy, though few believed it would work. "They're hailing us," announced Communications Officer Raj Patel, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. Audio and visual. Porter straightened his uniform. On screen, the image that appeared made several bridge crew members gasp. The Drade commander, Kara, towered over her subordinates. Her scaled skin shimmered with an iridescent purple hue, and ceremonial scars marked her face in intricate patterns. But it was her eyes, golden and predatory, that commanded attention. "Earth vessel," she spoke, her translator converting guttural sounds into English. "You have been granted the honor of our presence. Prepare for inspection." Porter stepped forward. "Commander Kara, we appreciate your willingness to meet. I am diplomatic envoy James Porter." "Silence," she cut him off. "Males do not speak unless questioned in Drachnid space. You will learn your place." The bridge crew tensed, but Porter maintained his composure. He'd studied their culture extensively. The Drades were a matriarchal society where males served purely auxiliary roles. Their warriors, all female, considered themselves superior to every species they'd encountered. "My apologies, Commander. However, I must inform you that human cultural protocols differ significantly. I speak with the full authority of Earth's united government." Kara's lips curled back, revealing sharp teeth. "How amusing. Your species allows males to hold positions of authority. Perhaps this explains your technological inferiority." Porter ignored the insult. "If you'll permit me, I'd like to share information about Earth's achievements and discuss potential areas of mutual benefit." "There is nothing your species can offer us," Kira interrupted. "We've analyzed your capabilities. Your weapons are primitive, your ships are slow, and your genetic structure is—" She paused, studying something off-screen, disappointingly simple. But Porter noticed something in her expression, a flicker of uncertainty when she mentioned genetics. He filed that observation away for later. "Perhaps a demonstration, then." He nodded to Raj, who initiated a prepared sequence. The holographic display between the ships came to life, showing Earth's recent technological achievements, but carefully edited to seem less advanced than they actually were. Porter had fought hard for this strategy. Let the Drades underestimate humanity. Primitive indeed, Kira scoffed, but her eyes tracked the displays with intense focus. "We will board your vessel for inspection. Prepare your crew." "Of course, Commander. We would be honored." Porter bowed slightly, playing to their expectations. As the transmission ended, First Officer Li Zhong approached. "Sir, are you sure about this?" "Letting them board is exactly what we need," Porter finished quietly. "They're scanning us constantly, trying to understand human biology. They're looking for something specific, and I want to know what." "It's risky," Lin cautioned. "Everything about this mission is risky," Porter replied. "But notice how they approached. Weapon systems powered down, shields at minimum. They're not here to fight. They want something else." The massive Drachnid ship drew closer, its docking tube extending like a serpent's tongue. Porter watched the procedure with outward calm while his mind raced through possibilities. Whatever the Drades were looking for in human genetics, it was important enough to make them attempt diplomacy rather than immediate conquest. And that Porter knew was information worth risking everything to discover. The medical bay of the Drachnid warship Nemesis buzzed with urgent activity. High Warrior Kara stood before a bank of holographic displays, her claws digging into her palms as she reviewed the latest test results. Around her, medical officers worked in tense silence, triple-checking their findings. "Impossible," she muttered, but the data didn't lie. 3 of her elite warriors had begun experiencing unprecedented physiological changes after the diplomatic meeting with the humans. Their highly evolved Drade biology was somehow being altered at the cellular level. High Warrior Dr. Nix approached, her scales a pale green with concern. "We've confirmed the changes in all 3 subjects. Their hormonal levels are fluctuating beyond normal parameters, and there's evidence of genetic restructuring." Kara's eyes narrowed. "Explain." It appears the proximity to human males has triggered something within our own genetic code. We're detecting signs of, Nix hesitated, reproductive compatibility. The words hum in the air like a plasma charge about to detonate. Drade warriors hadn't been capable of natural reproduction for generations, not since the genetic modifications that made them superior warriors. Their species continued through careful cloning and genetic engineering. How is this possible? Kira demanded. The human genome contains elements we've never encountered before. Somehow, exposure to their pheromones has activated dormant sequences in our DNA. The affected warriors are, Nix lowered her voice, developing reproductive capabilities. They're becoming fertile. Kara's mind raced. This could destroy everything the Drachnid Empire had built. Their society was based on the principle that warriors were beyond such biological weaknesses. The ability to reproduce naturally had been sacrificed generations ago in exchange for superior strength, speed, and longevity. Quarantine the affected warriors, she ordered. No one outside this medical bay knows about this. Understood. But even as her staff acknowledged the command, Kara knew this couldn't be contained forever. She accessed the secure communication channel to the Imperial High Command, composing a carefully worded message. The humans couldn't be eliminated now. They were too valuable as research subjects, but they couldn't be allowed to realize their importance either. In her private quarters later, Kira reviewed the footage from the diplomatic meeting. She focused on the human male Porter. He had noticed something during their conversation. She'd seen the recognition in his eyes when she mentioned genetics. The humans were cleverer than she'd initially believed. A sharp pain in her abdomen made her gasp. No, it couldn't be. She had only been in proximity to the humans for a few hours during the inspection. But as she pressed her hand against her stomach, she felt the unmistakable changes beginning within her own body. The proud Drachnid warrior, who had conquered dozens of star systems, found herself facing an enemy she couldn't defeat with weapons or strategy, her own transforming biology. Back on Earth, Porter sat in a secure briefing room deep beneath Geneva, facing a panel of humanity's highest-ranking officials. The holographic data from the diplomatic mission played above the conference table, showing detailed scans of the Drachnid vessel. They were scanning us constantly, Porter explained, highlighting specific data streams, not for weapons or technology, but for biological markers. Their interest in our genetics was far too intense for a simple first contact. Admiral Hassan leaned forward. You believe they found something? More than that. Porter activated his secure tablet, displaying classified medical data. During their inspection of our ship, we managed to gather some interesting readings. The Drade warriors experienced significant biological changes just from being in proximity to human males. The room erupted in murmurs. Dr. Lakshmi Patel, Earth's leading xenobiologist, studied the data with wide eyes. This is unprecedented. Their cellular structure began adapting almost immediately. But why? Porter had spent weeks analyzing this question. We know the Drades modified their genetics centuries ago, sacrificing natural reproduction for enhanced physical capabilities. But something in human DNA appears to be reactivating their dormant reproductive systems. A weakness we can exploit, General Rivera suggested. No, Porter said firmly. An opportunity for peace. Think about it. The Drades haven't conquered any world that could offer them something they needed. They've been searching, perhaps unknowingly, for a solution to their species' greatest vulnerability. Dr. Patel nodded slowly. Their entire society is built on the myth of their biological superiority. If their warriors start experiencing these changes, it could destabilize their entire empire. Or lead to war if they feel threatened, Admiral Hassan finished. Porter stood, pacing the room. That's why we need to handle this carefully. Right now, they're trying to hide these changes from their own people. High Warrior Kara's last transmission was heavily encrypted. She's reporting to their high command, but keeping it secret from her own crew. How do you know this? Rivera demanded. Because, Porter smiled slightly, she's experiencing the changes herself. Our sensors detected the biological markers just before we left. The proudest warrior in their fleet is becoming capable of natural reproduction. The implications hung heavy in the air. Humanity had unintentionally discovered the Drachnid Empire's greatest secret and their greatest hope for survival as a species. The question now was how to use this knowledge without triggering an interstellar war. We need to approach this delicately, Porter continued. If we reveal what we know publicly, their warrior caste will likely react with violence to protect their image of superiority. But if we can convince Kara to work with us privately, you want to help them? Rivera scoffed. I want to give them a choice, Porter corrected. Continue fighting to maintain a lie about their superiority or embrace a change that could save their species. The Drades have been dying. Their cloning technology is degrading with each generation. They need this as much as we need peace. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had stumbled upon something that could transform their relationship with one of the galaxy's most dangerous species. But one wrong move could turn a potential opportunity into an extinction-level threat. Aboard the Drachnid flagship Inevitable, chaos erupted as news of the pregnancy spread through the ranks. Despite Kara's efforts to maintain secrecy, the truth had emerged when Junior Warrior Vex collapsed during combat training, her body undergoing visible changes. The ship's communication channels buzzed with encrypted messages as warriors throughout the fleet reported similar symptoms. Kara stood in her command center, watching her carefully maintained control crumble. The medical bay was overwhelmed with warriors demanding answers. The lower decks are in upheaval, reported First Blade Rexus, her scales darkened with stress. 3 more squadrons have reported changes. They're demanding answers. Kara pressed her palm against the cool metal wall, fighting another wave of nausea. Her own condition was becoming harder to hide. What of the High Command's response? Nothing official. Arxes hesitated, but there are rumors. Some say they've known about this possibility for years, that the human genetic compatibility was discovered in early reconnaissance missions. The revelation hit Kara like a plasma blast. They knew. They sent us to Earth knowing this would happen. Before Rexus could respond, the ship's AI announced an incoming transmission from the Imperial Palace. The holographic image of Empress Mi herself materialized in the command center, her ancient scales bearing the marks of countless battles. High Warrior Kara, the Empress's voice carried centuries of authority. The time has come for truth. Kara dropped to one knee, tradition warring with her growing anger. My Empress, you knew about the human effect on our biology. We suspected, Mara admitted. Our species faces extinction, Kira. Each generation of clones grows weaker. The modifications that made us supreme warriors are killing us. We needed a solution. So you used us as test subjects. Rexus burst out, then quickly lowered her head in submission. We used you as hope. The Empress's image flickered. The human genetic structure contains elements we lost centuries ago when we chose power over procreation. Their DNA can restore what we sacrificed. Kara rose slowly, one hand unconsciously touching her abdomen. The warrior caste will never accept this. Our superiority is a lie that's outlived its purpose, Mira cut in. True strength lies in adaptation and survival. The humans offer us a future beyond endless cloning and genetic degradation. The ship shuddered as an explosion rocked the lower decks. Arxes checked the security feeds. The warrior barracks. They're fighting each other. Traditionalists versus those who want to embrace the change. Kira faced her empress. Civil war will tear our empire apart unless we give them something stronger than pride to fight for. Mira's eyes gleamed. A future, children, true immortality through natural succession. The choice loomed before Kara. Maintain the lie of superiority and watch her species fade into extinction, or embrace a change that would transform Drachnid society forever. Her child, her impossible human-influenced child, moved within her, making the decision startlingly clear. 1 year later, the great hall of the Earth Drachnid Concordat hummed with activity. Porter watched from the observation deck as Drachnid warriors, their bodies transformed by pregnancy or recent birth, mingled with human diplomats. The sight still amazed him. Former enemies now bound together by an unprecedented biological bond. Kara approached, carrying her infant daughter. The child's features were a striking blend of both species. Scaled skin with human eyes, Drachnid strength with human adaptability. She grows stronger each day, Kara said, pride replacing the arrogance that once defined her voice. As does our alliance, Porter replied, gesturing to the hall below, where more hybrid children played under the watchful eyes of their mothers. Though I admit, I never expected this outcome when we first met. You knew something then, she studied him. When I mentioned genetics in our first encounter, you suspected. We had theories, but the reality exceeded all expectations. Porter watched a group of warrior mothers comparing notes on childcare with human pediatricians. Your society is adapting well to the changes. Change or die, those were our options. Kara adjusted her child's blanket. Some still resist, clinging to old beliefs about genetic purity, but they grow fewer each day as more warriors choose natural reproduction over cloning. The Empress's strategy had worked. By publicly embracing her own pregnancy and declaring the human genetic compatibility a gift from the cosmos, she had transformed a potential civil war into a cultural revolution. The warrior caste, faced with extinction or evolution, had chosen life. The next generation will be different, Porter observed. Neither fully human nor purely drachnid. They will be better, Kira stated firmly. They inherit human adaptability and our strength. Already the medical data shows they possess advantages neither species had alone. A commotion below drew their attention. A drachnid warrior had gone into labor, a sight that would have been impossible 2 years ago. Medical teams from both species rushed to assist, their cooperation automatic now. The universe has a strange sense of humor, Porter mused. Your people conquered world-seeking power, only to find salvation in what you considered a weakness. Kara's daughter grasped her mother's warrior talons with tiny, scaled hands. We were wrong about many things. Strength comes in many forms. Sometimes the greatest power lies in the ability to change. Beyond the hall's windows, ships from both fleets patrolled together, their combined forces now protecting shared interests. A hybrid children plane below would grow up in a galaxy transformed by their very existence. Proof that evolution could take unexpected paths. To change, Porter raised a glass of earth wine, a luxury now highly prized among drachnid warriors for its beneficial effects during pregnancy. To future generations, Kira replied, her warrior's pride now centered not on conquest, but on the new life she cradled, a life that represented hope for both their species. In the nursery wing of the Concordat, hundreds of hybrid infants slept peacefully, their existence bridging the gap between two species that had once stood on the brink of war. They were living proof that sometimes the greatest victories come not through strength of arms, but through the simple, powerful ability to adapt and grow.